but maybe how we live as believers may actually agree with it, because if you're like me, and some of you look a little better than me, I can see you all, but if you're like me, you may have just not really gone there. When it comes to Jesus saying, look, these things are hugely important. They're the benchmark on which I'm going to look at your life when you stand before me. They're hugely important, friends. This is hugely important. And then what he can say is that when we stand before him, we'll give an account. But like the whole thing of the prisoner, what we can do is, if you're anything like me, you can kind of just ignore it. Just don't go there. I really haven't gone there. I haven't really thought, I've got an obligation. The Bible teaches, what Jesus teaches is that we're to visit the sick. We visit the prisoner. I do visit the sick, but I've never taken it on myself to think I'd need to go and visit prisoners. Some of you probably have. But it's a really important thing that Jesus is challenging us to do. And I guess we might not articulate it in such strong terms, but maybe our lifestyle basically says we just ignore it. We just ignore it. We just live our own life and we just ignore it. And that's just as bad. Because Jesus is all about what we do, not what we say. When I was thinking about it, I was thinking about, like, as a church, like if we're thinking pastoral responsibility, we have a pastoral responsibility, the people in our church. But you know what Jesus does? He actually says for the 100 sheep, he actually looks at the 100 sheep and he says, well, there's 99 of them, and that could be like you and I in here. And there's an obligation to pastorally care for the sheep. But you know what motivated Jesus? What motivated Jesus was to go out and pastorally care for that one lost sheep at Spring Hill Prison. You see, if we look at the parable of the Good Samaritan, and we look at who is our neighbour, and if we look at we are living here in the new prison down the road, we could actually think, well, who really is our neighbour? Who is the one that's on the side of the road being beaten up? Whereabouts are they for us, for you and me, Franklin Baptist Church? Who are they? I would suggest to you they're people in Spring Hill Prison. There's others as well, but just staring me in the face, and that's what I've been challenged with, and that's what we're preaching on. I'm preaching on this morning. Like what we can actually do is we can actually think that people deserve to be punished. People deserve to be punished if they commit a crime. And I guess God, looking at us, can say, we deserve to be punished because we've all sinned. We deserve to be punished. And what we can do is, if we hold this mentality, and I'm not saying all of you do, I'm just speaking for my own self, I'm preaching from my own heart, but if we actually think that people that are in there deserve to be in there, and it's like another planet to think that, I just think neutrally about them, but it's another planet to think that I'd go and visit them and try and befriend one of them. Sorry, it's just not on my heart. No, I don't think so. Well, Jesus does think so. And you know what? In the prison at Spring Hill, there's iron doors with locks on them, locking them into their cell. I would suggest to you that if I'm going to have an indifferent, apathetic attitude towards the prisoner, say in our locality, you know what it's like? It's putting another door right there. Another spiritual door with a lock on it. Because Jesus actually says this, he is desperate for the prisoner to be set free. He is desperate to heal the brokenhearted, to open prison doors and set the captives free. And you know how he does it? Through me and you. He doesn't do it by himself. He sends us with the anointing to heal the brokenhearted, to set the captives free, to open prison doors. He doesn't do it by himself. So the challenge is for us is that if I've got the mentality that they deserve to be there and they're just not part of my thinking, I'm placing a door over their life where the possibility of hope and healing and deliverance and purpose and destiny and restoration comes to them. I'm shutting them out. And so the call to us is to change. Now, if we just look at what happens to a prisoner, if you're in jail for a year, these are the sort of things that will happen to you. If you were a pretty smart person and you had a set of skills, you use it or lose it. If you stop exercising the skills because you've gone to jail, you lose your skills, like within a year. What about your relationships? What about your family that is so ashamed of you and don't want anything to do with you? What about your friends that you had that don't want the stigma of being associated with a con, just leave you? That's what happens in the first year of being in jail. So in some senses, there's the physical prison, but these symptoms are a prison in a person's heart and mind and psychology. What about confidence? Like what you want to do, I want to do something with my life, I want to have initiative and I want to be confident. I want to take things on, and you end up in jail. You know what happens to all that? It's sucked out of your life. You have no confidence, and the whole thing of exercising initiative go out the back door. What about, what happens is, before you go to jail, you probably had a lot of initiative, you're quite independent in your thinking, and suddenly you end up in jail, and what happens to you is someone tells you what to do all the time. All your independence is robbed, and you probably form sort of habits and patterns of life that are totally you're not an independent person anymore. That's what you suffer with. That's what you come out with. That's how you're molded. What about when you want to get a house when you get out? You want to rent a house, and there's a landlord got you as a choice or someone that's not a criminal. Who's he going to choose in all likelihood? What if you want a job and you've been in there for dishonesty? Hello? In all likelihood, you won't get a job. What about, in all this, the deep, aching loneliness and shame? What about the fact that in that state, you actually feel, I just want to feel good. Most of us just want to feel good. So I feel that bad that what I'll do is I'm just going to drink, or I'm just going to take drugs, or I'm just going to visit a prostitute. I just need to feel good about my life. Can you blame them? They've just come out of prison, and this is their experience. Or what about just the constant knockbacks? Constant knockbacks. So friends, these are the people that Jesus has called us to go and befriend and visit. And my heart tends to be, like in the past, the best way I'd describe it isn't that I thought, no, I just don't like that brand of Christianity. I just wouldn't have got around to it. I just wouldn't have thought that it was important. I just wouldn't have done it. And so my heart would kind of just be apathetic. Or the other thing is maybe my heart could just be, judgmental or critical. They need to pay the price. They're in there for a good reason. Or maybe I'm self-righteous. I think they just aren't worth it. Look at how they've lived. Or maybe I'm just religious. Got an outward form of life, and these people don't conform to a good living person. And so, sorry, no thank you. That's my hard, stony, cold heart. Because Jesus actually